Hey chat, how are we? We're making interesting life decisions today. It's fine, don't worry about it. Alrighty, you might notice we are a little early today. That is because we're gonna go for a longer stream, hopefully. I already do long streams, so we'll see how long I can make it. Plan is we're gonna start early so that I can do a two-part stream. The first part is going to cover Satisfactory, because I want to get into that. But the plan for today is going to do more of like a explanation or like intro segment to what will become our solo world save. But essentially just going over the current save that I have, which is like the first actual playthrough that I've done. And that was done partially co-op. It wasn't really co-op. I did a lot of it myself. But um, going over what went right, what went wrong, how we're going to approach this next save. Maybe starting the new save, because I can't imagine that a world tour, I suppose, will take terribly long. Um, but yeah, so that'll be the first half of today, and then the second half we're just gonna go back to Supermarket Sim. I was trying to think of what to do today, and I didn't feel like I was really in the mood to do a longer um, Satisfactory stream, so I'm thinking we're gonna limit that and then just go to Supermarket Sim, continue that playthrough, because the quicker I can get through that, the quicker I can get other playthroughs started. Um, Not a high chat turnout day. I'm wondering if that's just because I started wicked fucking early. Let us see. We'll join a VC, see if anyone joins. Okay, there we go. All right. So I have really an ad. Fucking hell. All right. All right. I've got a couple elements here that we're gonna use during our tour. Man, the ads on this website are insane. One of the most helpful tools for Satisfactory that I found was Satisfactory Calculator, which is fantastic. It does a bunch of super cool layering stuff for maps, and it's super, super. There we go. Super helpful. Um, but the ads that they run to keep the shit going is insane. Okay. Jay. Hello, Jay. Kind of wondering if I should just include this in as a stream element. Satisfactory, I hardly know her. I know. Jay, you finally get to see in its entirety what I've been working on with my life for the last 4 fucking months. um, Alright, here's what we're gonna do. I think we're gonna jump back and forth between game stream and streaming these external elements. No, it'll be easier just to start with the external elements. Alright. Cool. Alright, so chat. For the last like 4 months or so, I've been on a co-op, I'll use that term loosely, multiplayer, satisfactory world save. It's my world save, but I opened it up. There's ways you can do it with Steam friends. It's really kind of workaround and a pain in the ass, but it works, I guess. Um, and we've gotten to the point where we're almost through the what is it, stage 4 of the space elevator. So we're pretty end game. We've got nuclear. We're working on plutonium. I mean, we're pretty much done. There's just probably another like 20 to 30 hours that we need to put into actual infrastructure in order to send up the space elevator, get that final milestone. But I've put probably 250 hours into this world save over the last 4 months. So we're going to pull up the satisfactory map. Live, and it's not going to detect it as a game. Screen capture. There we go. All right, this is the world save. It's going to look a little slams head into the ground like an ostrich. Yeah, that is a reaction to have. Yeah, so this is what we've got going on right now. Lots and lots going on here. We're gonna work through it. So for all of the pink stuff, that's gonna be like the most blaringly obvious part that you can see on the map here. Every single bit that is pink, hot pink I should say, because the light pink is conveyor, but the dark pink is rail. So my approach to this world save was literally just, okay, if we have something that needs to go somewhere, it's gonna use a rail. It's gonna be efficient, so might as well just do it. It's all electricity based, so you don't have to worry about fuel at all. Just send trains everywhere. I was like, okay, well, if I'm gonna be sending trains everywhere, what's the best way of doing that? Let's create a highway system where we go around the perimeter of the map and then do interconnecting interstates, pretty much is what it would have turned into. And then we can literally say we have something on, so this is a uranium node up here. Say we need to get uranium somewhere. In this case, it would be the top of the map here. So what we could do is set up a rail, put it to the main line, send it over, have an exit. Pretty simple. Not really useful in that case because it's right there, and in this case we do just have a conveyor belt going there. But in the case that we need something to go to the uranium plants up here, but the node, like I needed, eventually I'm going to need nitrogen up here, and there's like a prominent nitrogen node down here. So what we could do is package the nitrogen, send it on a train, make another interstate that goes pretty much straight north here, connected to the rail, and there you go. That would make use of the infrastructure. Time to get some drugs so I can be sane for this. Yeah, for real. I mean, I feel like I need multiple amphetamines to keep me going through this. But I did this all unmedicated, which is probably how I did it. Question is, does the nitrogen taste good? Maybe. Makes your voice go funky. you can have funny voice. I don't know if it tastes good. Probably doesn't really taste like much. It's a gas. But as you can see, there's not a whole lot of pink anywhere aside from the main perimeter and the main two cross-sectionals. Spent a bunch of time, like I probably plugged like 20 to 30 hours just into doing the foundation for all of this, let alone placing the rails, doing the this was the first intersection I had done. This is the spawn area, by the way. This is where we started the game. We'll see that once we load in, and I'll be able to explain everything better, because it won't look like random colored line spaghetti. This was the first intersection I had done, and it was literally just a preliminary, okay, you've got a two-way system intersecting a two-way system. How do we make this work? And it wasn't too bad. It took me a while because it was the first one that I had done, but we got there eventually, and it looked pretty decent. I mean, it doesn't look that bad, and in game it also doesn't look too terrible. The problem started arising when we got to the middle here, and we realized, well, in these systems, all we have is a two-way intersecting with a two-way, but it's just a T-shape. It's just going one direction. How the hell do we manage a track intersecting all the way through another track? And I'm gonna warn you, chat. This is gonna look a little sus, but everything is square in this game, so there was no real good workaround. I'm gonna try and do a better workaround if we ever have this happen in the next world save, but it is not. It has significant differences from what you will initially see here. All of this is a four-way intersection. This took me like 8 hours to develop, and I didn't see how it looked from above until I loaded it in its entirety after it was completed. The oopsie doopsie. Well, it's not an oopsie doopsie. It's just you have to explain why it's not an oopsie doopsie, so therefore it's a very borderline oopsie doopsie. Yeah, essentially we had to figure out how, and whenever I say we here, chat, you can assume that I mean me, because I did all of this development. This was all this was all my insanity. We had to figure out how to get each line to both continue on. It's right way travel. So this line, this top line here, will be traveling west. This line will be east, north, south. And so we had to figure out how to allow say we're going west, right? We want the option to be able to continue west. We want the option to exit and go north, but we also want the option to exit and be able to go south. The problem there is that the easiest thing to do, obviously, is to, well, aside from going straight, is to just turn onto the north, because you're on the same side already. You're just turning right. It's Excellent. An easy right-hand turn. Sasha, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Headphones aren't working right now. Can you chat instead? I'm afraid I cannot do that. Jay, if you feel like you want to interpret, go for it. Be creative. But that's a cool windmill. See, that's the way to look at it. The difficulty became, how do I get this rail on this line without creating like a bunch of like ramps and loops and shit? Easiest way, create one exit that diverts into another exit, one going north, one going south. And so you have that same system going on all four sides. The unfortunate side effect of symmetry with squares when you're doing a pinwheel shape of this nature is it tends to look a little Germanic in the 30s. Bandits. No, that's not what we're doing. Right, so that was pioneering the four-way system. Four-way intersection system. Right, so the underutilization that we're seeing with the rail system at large is the fact that every single one of these platforms is 138 meters in the air, and I did this to prevent any issues with like terrain or anything. It was going to be clear of everything. I was like, okay, this is fine, this works. You'll notice that this four-way intersection is at 318 meters, because this entire like middle portion of the map sits at like a ground level of well, where's this power line? It's not going to tell me because there's not a foundation. Got it. All right. I want to say it's like 200 meters. It's like pretty high up. And so by the way, man, this intersection is fucked. In the sense that it's complicated, or in the sense that it's resemblant of something else. By the way, which game do you stream the most? I don't stream a game the most. I do everything. Yeah, essentially, yes. To answer the above question, yes. So, okay, so this is where we're gonna tangent real quick. Ignore that. All right, so you saw part of this structure on the map already. To answer all questions, yes. what I had decided was going to be most efficient is essentially create a centralized network. And I was just in voice call with a friend of mine at the time, and I was like, how do I make the system the most efficient it can be? And it was like, okay, best thing I can think of, centralize all of your resources. So literally place all of the nodes with miners and extractors and all that jazz, and pipe literally everything, conveyor, train, drone, whatever the hell works best, send everything to the center, and then, disperse from the center. And that way, you have a decent flow of materials, you have a decent flow of work. Which was a decent plan. And then I took it a step further and I was like, okay, well, if you have a centralized system, circles work. Circles don't exist in a game that uses square foundations. Good system, wheel. Yeah, I mean, this is just proven to be the most efficient manner. Problem being, when you have something that needs to be centered in the map for it to be efficient, and the center of the map is 200 meters in the air with trees that stick out of it that go up another like 50 to 60 meters, you end up with a platform that is floating 440 meters in the air. Now over here, we kind of just dealt with that. We were like, okay, you know what? We've got our desert system over here. This rail system is independent from this one because this one's down at 79 meters instead of 140. And all this rail does is collect coal and iron because this is a mega foundry. And for this, we were like, okay, yeah, 440 meters in the air. Whoop-de-doo. Like, no problem with this whatsoever. Band now owns a mothership. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that was fully intentionally what this was going to operate as, is each little platform here. So it was going to be by sector, so northeast sector, southeast sector, southwest sector, and northwest sector, and then have them numerically designated. So right now, the only sector in use, aside from the very center that doesn't have a designation because it literally just is the space elevator in the hub, is 1 northeast, which is where we have the mega foundry. So again, we decided that was acceptable to put 440 meters in the air because all we were transporting to this facility was the iron and coal to make the steel. That's all it was. And so it was like, okay, not ideal, but we can make this work. So my solution to that was, let's put a dozen drones down. And so we have 12 ground stations that are wired to the receiving end of the rail. So it goes around, collects everything, comes back, outputs. It sends out the materials from the train to the drone stations pretty evenly. I tried number matching as much as possible. It got a little tricky because the numbers weren't consistent. And then those 12 drones, so the bottom row here takes off and goes pretty much straight up to these 6, but these 6 in the back row go all the way over here. So we split it kind of half and half. Half goes into the back, half goes into the front. And then it's, again, split pretty much down the middle for the foundries. The stuff coming in the back takes the front half of the foundries. The front takes the front half. And that worked because there's 2 materials at play. You would just assign every other drone to every other material. Boom, bam, done. Works fine. Oh, we have one of those over there. Why do we have one of those over there? Huh. I'm going to have to destroy that. I don't know why that is there. It's in the middle of nowhere. Okay. Right, so we determined that this would be fine. And it was, and it works. It could be more efficient, but it's going to take a lot of work to get it more efficient. And at this point, it works enough. So it's kind of like, do you sink more time into it? Do you just leave it be? It's a system of like 42 foundries, I think. So at a certain point, it's like it's producing a lot as it stands. When do we get the resources to make alcohol? Well, you can make sulfuric acid. I don't think you want to be drinking that, but it would probably give you a somewhat similar effect before it just outright killed you like 20 minutes after consumption. If that. Um, right, so that was the main issue with building. Oh, no, that's not the main issue. The main issue uh, is with most late game component parts, you need liquids, whether it be like water for cooling or the sulfuric acid. There's slurries that are used for different component parts, especially with aluminum. There's a lot of liquids at play. Um, and so it came to a point, especially when I was like, oh, initially, yeah, throw the nuclear stuff on platform. I think this is 2 northwest. Um, and it'll be fine. It'll be great. And then I realized that, yeah, even if I have a platform sitting over a larger body of water, okay, so for reference, this is a nuclear system that does 50,000 megawatt hours of power. Uh, and it's fully self-sufficient. All of these machines and everything have all of the materials coming to it to make it a system that works. The issue is that for every one of these reactors, you can kind of see the silhouettes underneath the green outlines. The green outlines are the reactors. The yellow outlines underneath are the water extractors used to cool those reactors. And each one needs 2 of them. Now at ground level, yeah, it's a bit of a pain in the ass, but it's doable, and it's, not that hard because you can use a single pipeline to connect from the water extractor to the reactor, because the reactor's only 4 meters above water level. Problem being is, yeah, you can see that there's outlines of rivers and stuff underneath the platform. You could make it work, but one, it's not going to line up because it's a river and there's going to be limited space. And 2, reminder that this platform is 440 meters in the air. And so to take that many water extractors, so there's 20 reactors, so there's 40 water extractors, and run 40 pipes 400 meters in the air. That's over 1,600 meters of pipe going vertical. So I would need foundations and infrastructure to build, like scaffolding essentially. You would need scaffolding to get the pipes all the way to the top. You would need to do pump work. You would need, like, I think I did the math, and it'd be like 5 to 6 pumps, Mark II pumps, that is, to take it from ground level all the way up to the platform. For all 40 pipelines or 20 pipelines. So it could have been done. I drink that much water in a day. You drink 20 pipes of water. Let's see, how much water are these consuming? We can figure out how much water you're drinking a day. It's doing 240 cubic meters, I assume, per minute. Oh, no, per cycle. Which takes 5 minutes, so I don't know, you do the math. 240 divided by 5, and that's how much water you're consuming per minute times the 20 reactors. See, light work. So ultimately, obviously, because you're looking at it right now, I determined that the platform was better suited just on the ocean in the middle of the water as opposed to on a platform 440 meters in the air. And then the same thing happened again. We came down here to work with aluminum, make an aluminum system, which is what is under this rail system here. This is all aluminum. But you need water. Again. And so rather than, sending it to one of these outer platforms, because this is the outer ring, it almost reaches the west coast. I decided, okay, you know what? Let's just, the bauxite is literally right here. Let's send it off the side of the cliff. Come on, there we go. Let's send it off the side of the cliff and just have everything produced there. And so that's what we did. Um, and all of this is aluminum. Um, and then it got to the point where it was just like, okay, no part of this is feasible. Unfortunately, as cool as the concept looks, it's just not. It's not doable. So we ended up just doing. This is a turbo motor facility. Nothing fancy, but it is mostly self-sufficient. The only issue is that a couple of these things right now are fed manually. Like this is a storage container with Caterium because it got to the point where I was building this and it became just tedious. And I was like, you know what? There's no Caterium close by to this location, but I've already got something set up with a dimensional depot for Caterium ingots. So I'm just going to plop that down and keep filling it manually. That doesn't go by too fast. The problem is that there is also a manual input for motors, which we are not producing efficiently. We are not number matching whatsoever. We've got like one machine doing it at spawn, and it's not even overclocked because the Strators are doing 4 different things at spawn. Spawn's a mess. When we load into the world save, you're going to see that spawn is an absolute fucking catastrophe. This looks like a spaghetti mess, but it is organized, I can promise you. And when we go check it out, you'll see like, okay, yeah, it's a little chaotic, but I mean, if you know all the component parts and you know what builds what, it's not too bad. Spawn, it's like all in 2 buildings and everything is going everywhere and it's a fucking catastrophe. So yeah, that's going to be our aluminum and our turbo motors. Let's see, what other big things can I talk about while we're still on the map? Yep, we talked about the rail, the nuclear, the platform, and those drawbacks. Yeah, essentially everything else. I mean, you've got a turbo fuel facility over here that we'll visit. We've got our coal power that we are relying on in early game. This is all of the stuff in spawn, which you can see compared to like here, where there's like at least straight lines. Like it's spaghetti mess, but it's at least straight lines. Or, you know, this where like, yeah, there's definitely a shit ton going on here because everything's so tightly packed. But like you can make sense of it. Spawn, absolutely not. Fucking mess. Absolute fucking disaster. I mean, this is not bad, but this was to support something being built in the foundry building, and it was just not ideal. Bunch of random shit going on. And then another, oh yeah, this was our first oil refinery. This is actually the first structure that I built that was number matched and somewhat efficient. This is the first one where I paid attention and was actually conscious of what was going to use how much of what material, and set it up appropriately. And she's a fucking beauty. Yep, 7 generators each row, 4 rows, and then the refineries to support each. Not terribly shabby. Was really proud of this when I finished it. It's nothing special. I mean, when we load in and I go to that area, it's not going to be very impressive, but it runs smoothly, and that's what I was shooting for that. Because again, prior to that facility, this is what I was working with. Okay, I think we're ready to... I'm not going to bother explaining any of this using the map. It's not going to make sense, I promise. I think we are ready. Let's get rid of screen capture. There we go. I think we are ready to go into the game. And it only took me half an hour to explain all of the basic infrastructure. Good lord. Alright, so the map portion of our tour has concluded. Now we're going to get into the nitty gritty. Or the game's going to crash, question mark? Is stream good? Stream seems fine. It's just the game, huh? Huh. Is there an update that I wasn't aware of? Why is you not opening? What the fuck? Alright, maybe I will not be streaming Satisfactory. Alright, hang on, let's try turning off game capture. Maybe it's the game capture that's fucking with things? Nope, it's just refusing to open. What the fuck? Okay, it looks like we will not be playing Satisfactory today. Okay. Well, I apologize, chat. There's not going to be a visual representation of what the current world save looks like. That's fucking frustrating as hell. Alright, back to screen capture, I guess. Okay, so when I am off stream, I am going to take a look at why the hell Satisfactory won't open with Streamlabs. Because that's a little fucked. Yeah, I literally have no clue why it's doing that. Okay. So the plan was going to be just take you around to each of the major production facilities and kind of show you the main choke points, the main areas of concern. But I suppose I will just explain all of that to you trying to use the map. All right, so realistically, I think our biggest thing is that we had the right idea. It would be most efficient to centralize all resources to a point, right? Just in doing the project for gathering resources and sending it up to here, it became very apparent that trying to take something like these coal nodes way out in the boonies here at the very edge of the corner of the map and bringing it to the center would have been absolutely fucking insane. And so I think the better idea is to have the map split into basically 4 sections, where you have like a major production facility down in the plains here, you have a major production facility in the desert, you have a major production facility maybe in the swamp, although I can't see how that would be a good idea, but just for sake of argument, and then another, production facility down below, and then have a rail system instead of running the entire perimeter that's going to take fucking, days upon days to complete. Just doing rail systems that are pertinent, because while it is a good idea to have existing infrastructure and it's really helpful for projects down the line, when you have, because I think in total to go all the way around the map using this outer rail system, it takes like a solid 12 minutes, which is better than, flying with a jetpack or running or swimming or whatever around this path, because that would take you probably 2 hours at least. but it's still 12 minutes to get all the way around the map, and you have sections like this corner where it's literally just passing over open ocean for like a solid minute and a half. Where you could make the argument that, okay, yeah, if you had just come in and through, yeah, you're cutting over land, but like you cut over land here, so what the hell would the issue be with just cutting the rail directly across? That would definitely shave like a solid minute off. But then again, doing a perimeter approach with a rail instead of just connecting point A to point B, you do lose time, and there's time lost with the ramps and everything, because this whole section here is basically a ramp that takes you up to this middle level. Same with the one from spawn here, same with this, same with this. All four of them have ramps. So biggest takeaway there is just utilizing rails more appropriately, because I got a little carried away with the infrastructure of the railroads and then just did not use any of them. I shouldn't say that. The line from the hub down to spawn and down to where the aluminum was being produced was super useful to have, because it meant I could just hop on a train, go down to spawn, get whatever I needed, go back, and nothing was automated, but it still cut travel time down to like 5 minutes, instead of, having to run and take 20 to 30 minutes to get to base and then back, like 40 minutes round trip for sake of argument. Much better than doing that. So this section was utilized, and if anything, this rail system taught me how to use things like the signal block and the intersections, and how to do basically highway infrastructure. If I could take anything away from this game, it's that I could probably get a job as a civil engineer and have a decent idea of what I'm doing. Which I suppose leads me to my second point. Well, this game has already taught me a lot about project management and I suppose civil engineering to a certain degree. There are certain aspects that I'm definitely going to have to look into more, because I still don't understand how the fuck fluids work. My solution thus far is, if the system isn't running, add pumps, and if the system is backed up, add fluid buffers. I have no idea how how fluids work in general, so that is something I'm going to have to tackle for this next playthrough. What was my other major thing? Oh, yeah. So, like, just looking visually from the transition from, like, spaghetti chaos at spawn to actually, like, somewhat functional factory that is straightforward and you could walk in and, like, understand how things work and then, do what you need to do. Maybe starting with that. I found that doing these sky highways for the belts, where they're like perfectly straight, instead of like this belt that is not anywhere near straight. Easiest thing to do is literally build a foundation in front of the miner, and just basically belt out the foundation wherever you need the belt to go, build the conveyor on top of it, and then remove the foundation. It looks a little funky, but it keeps everything nice and even, nice and straight. There's no spaghetti mess. It's literally just easy conveyor work. So you don't get shit like this. So that would be one thing. To add on to that point, where using foundations is really important to keeping everything on the same plane, There was a lot of running into issues until I did the rail system and the hub, which everything was built on the same plane. Like everything is connected by foundation, so everything is on the same grid. Uh, Nothing at spawn is on the same grid. Half of the shit is skewed, half of it is not even at it. Like see, like the coal refinery, I don't even know what angle that is because this is the 45-degree angle. This portion of the web is a 45-degree angle. This is sitting maybe at like a 30, if that. It's kind of in line with this angle, which I suppose would be more like a 22, 23-degree angle. Yeah, that's exactly what that would be. Yeah, so you've got that skewed that way. The turbo fuel wasn't hooked up to anything, so that's skewed that way. And so nothing you build after that point is even. There was even a problem here where I built, and this was like the last production facility thing that I had built, so this was fairly recent. I built this platform for the turbo motor facility before I built any of the infrastructure, and so when I actually built platforms under the miner here and then brought the line out, the oh no, yeah, that's right. Okay, so initially when I built this out, it didn't line up with the original platform, and nothing was built there at the time. So I decided, you know what I'm gonna do to make my life easier? I'm just gonna wreck what I have built here, because it was just foundations. Rebuild the foundation platform so that everything lines up, and then it didn't end up mattering anyways because whatever the hell this is bringing in, quartz, doesn't line up either. Just lots of inconsistencies that could have been avoided by like spawning in and doing everything on a 90-degree, like just straight up and down, and connecting everything manually. So I think because the hub was built properly somehow, like the original hub building, because the hub was originally in this field here, and this was the spawn building that I had done like all of the iron manufacturing in, most of the copper manufacturing. It was all done in this building, and somehow I had managed to put it on a actual 45 instead of skewed like the biomass burners, but we don't have to talk about them. And so then everything was attached to the same grid. So the takeaway there for the solo save, whenever we start that up, when I figure out what the hell went wrong, is start on a foundation and just cover the fucking world in foundations. You can always take foundations off, but you can't redo an entire half of the world because it's off kilter a little bit. So I suppose being more purposeful and being more intentional with how things are designed. I'm really kind of pissed that it's not gonna let me load the game. But yeah, so that's my one and only playthrough through Satisfactory thus far, and I probably on my own time, not on stream, am going to go ahead and finish this out because I did spend a shitload of time. I'm looking now, I said I spent 250 hours in the world save. My Steam is telling me that I have 360 hours, and I only spent about 20 hours in the first playthrough that I tried streaming on. So we do have about 340 hours of work in this one world save. So obviously we're going to want to go through and finish that out, give that a bit of a get a bit of closure from this. But it's going to take a while. But it's only going to take a while because I botched the infrastructure. I don't think I botched the infrastructure. I just went into the conceptualization of the infrastructure misguided, because I was like, oh yeah, just centralize everything. Wonderful. Oh, there's a mountain, just put it higher than the mountain. Both seem like easy fixes, and then actually executing it, it was like, yeah, no, none of this is feasible, because why the hell would I ship everything up to level 440? Like, there's no reason for that. So I am thinking that for the solo save, what we're gonna do is just compartmentalize everything. Uh, do like 5 major component uh, manufacturing areas, because it probably will just be like northwest, northeast, southeast, southwest, and then have one like along the cliffs here, close to the center, um, or like up. Yeah, we'll figure something out. Wow, the website is fucking lagging. I wonder if that's why Satisfactory is crashing. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna try one more thing. Let's try closing this, ditching that. Maybe I'm just overutilizing. Wow. Okay, thank you for playing automatically there, Netflix. Shield Hero, by the way, for those wondering. Can ditch the screen capture now. Okay, so we ditched the map, so maybe our RAM isn't gonna shit itself. I wonder if it's just an instance failure because we have so many things open. Because I doubt that that web page was optimized properly if they're just doing their own thing. Let's ditch that. Any tabs that we do not need are going to get nuked. All right, let's give this one more go.